I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Evelyn. I'm here to introduce you to a new level of entertainment. The stars have aligned, connecting Brooklyn, New York, Sacramento, California, and Atlanta, Georgia. The team. Introducing Flatbush, Brooklyn's finest, the boss, Chef Choupino. Hailing from Sacramento, California, is Andrea Lynch. From the dirty South Atlanta, Georgia, is your boy, Victor Freeze Music, or just Vic.
Club phone jump, it's the weekend. Dream come true with the freak friends. Hitting on doors, that's a defense. Rolling with all that's that offense. Hit me, chain, Jude, let me peach in. With a bull shaking to my maybe drop ins. So they won't buy, and I say, so they won't buy, you the kid play, baby, 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 baby. Tell me what you want. Jude, I know you need fun. Ever since remember we been knocking at the door. Y'all be moving paper, we be running up the school. Yeah, before that pillar, we was sleeping on the floor. West side Africa, you know the shit ain't cool. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, baby, come roll with me. As times relax, my mind's relaxed. I got now from who got next. Here's my number, just send a text. You got a man and she responds, nah. Okay, sure enough, I'ma let you go, don't wanna hold you up. I'ma call your phone when I put it up. Whoever let you go must be dumb as fuck. Wait for. Girl, you so fine, I'll pay for. Fly you first class to LA for. Body so blessed, I pray for. Body so blessed, I pray for. Because I don't care what you say. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. My nigga, I killed it. Night long. This the part where you get your girl, nigga. Make sure she focus, nigga. Make sure you focus, nigga. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, hit it. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Bobby, driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. That's a hit for your ass, nigga. Hit for your ass, nigga. Prophet the One. Follow me on all Instagram sites, PROPHETTHEONE. That's Prophet the One in case you couldn't spell. But if you could, you already got it. Like Prophet like God, and then duh like duh, nigga. And then one like nigga, I'm the motherfucking one, nigga. You can't miss it. Follow me now.
What the camera was, let me talk to you.
Yo, man. Is the first file on the brain? The first file, that's it. Yeah, man.
They got light right here, bro. Set the light, bro. The light.
What up? It's your boy Chef. What's going on? What is going on? You know what it is tonight. We're going to have a very special conversation tonight. We're going to talk about STDs. And I'm not talking about the ones you guys got already. I'm not talking about those. Or maybe I am. But we're going to talk about it. So while we're waiting for the team to get situated, let me start saying what's up, showing some love. First thing, piece of love we're going to show is to the brother, Derek C. Williams. He says, as a matter of fact, I am Miss Lynch pay weekend. So we already know about that every other week lifestyle. I remember that lifestyle. That was, whoo. What's going on? Damn, I look a little extra shiny over here, man. I got to handle that. I'm, once we start getting that Tasha K money, I'm gonna have, a couple of ladies behind me, and whenever I get off cam, they're gonna start dabbing me up with is it concealer? I don't know what the hell it is. Powder. My 15-year-old just screamed in the background. Powder. All right. You know what it is. So let's keep it going. Quantum Love, A1, Day One. What's going on? Mika Marcel, I see you. Another A1, Day One. My guy, APTV. Look how smooth he is right there. Look how smooth. Mac Era. He's soon going to take it to Mac Era 4.0, so don't miss 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. All right? Because you're going to be behind. It's all he revolutionizes that Mackin. My guy, Sakat Fed, my Haitian brother up in Canada. What's good? What's good, family? How are you? Danique Anthony. First purchaser of the Zaire Guillaumes, and he gets a everyone that purchases too. If you happen to purchase, please let me know. There's going to be a special gift that I'm going to give to you without question. So please communicate with me and let me know. Tanique has received his gift. Hey, red lipstick vibes. Hey, you guys should have checked out her monetization party yesterday. It was something to watch. Extremely entertaining. Extremely entertaining. All right. So bear with me one. L'huile masquetée. Fille claire. That's funny. L'huile masquetée. Let me tell y'all about what l'huile masquetée is. If you happen to be Haitian or know anybody that's Haitian, that's the Haitian version of tussin. They put that shit on everything. You put a drop in your tea, you rub it on your knee, you know what I mean? You rub the shit on your eyes so you can see. You see that rhyming I did there? It's like that special oil that you use for everything. Everything. All right. What's spooky is that it works. But that shit stinks. L'huile masquetée. It stinks, yo. Real talk. So anyway, back to what we got going over here. There's a special shout out. We didn't get to do it on the day of because we were not live. However, we finna do it today. I want to send a special shout out to somebody that was pivotal in this movement over here. A major shout out to my guy, my partner in crime and in good deeds, Victor Freeze Music. Please send out a special happy birthday to Vic, my guy. Cooking on mute.
Yo, what's going on, bro?
Happy birthday, my dude. Real talk, man. We put some work in quarter 1 and 2 of this thing here and ending off quarter 4 of last year. So I definitely appreciate you in terms of what you brought to this thing, the level of balance, and we ain't finished. Till Spotify and HBO and Stars and all of that. All right. Stay tuned. But yeah, man, talk to us, yo. How was your birthday?
Straight, man. You know what I mean? I would prefer to have been feeling better, but you know, it's good to be feeling at all. It's a lot of people ain't feeling nothing right now. They ain't thinking about nothing, and so on and so forth. So, just to be amongst the land of the living, that counts for everything at the moment.
Who you telling, man? Who you telling? In a few weeks, it's gonna be 50 spins around the sun for me. So, I didn't even expect to make it this far. You feel me? So I keep saying you feel me, but it's real. I feel it. So I definitely understand your level of appreciation. You get to do anything special?
Nah, I mean, I don't really speak too much as far as my religious beliefs. I mean, you might hear me reference the Bible a lot, which would, infer that I'm a Christian. But
Right.
at the end of the day, when I was young, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and
Right.
I've walked a lot of different spiritual paths to bring me to where I am today. So I wouldn't say that I'm a Jehovah's Witness today, but that is my foundation. So I was very comfortable in my youth, not celebrating any major holidays in my birthday, including that. My mother used to always, allow us to choose, a restaurant or something of that nature for our birthday to make us feel special. You know what I mean? Like, hey, okay, everybody gonna eat what you want to eat type thing, but we was never like, oh, we're gonna throw parties and cakes and yada yada. I threw my brother a 40th birthday party. You know what I mean? I thought that was necessary. But outside of that, you know what I mean? Not no big party guy, and actually helped me over the years financially and criminally to stay out of trouble. I know a lot of people, play themselves right on out on their birthday, doing just a tad too much. So I like to play it right in the middle of the road. Got me a couple of them white claws. Sat down with my people. You feel me?
Right.
And just talk about what's next. You know what I mean? I always try to say that, you know, a lot of people they collecting dates. I don't collect dates. Every year that the Lord give me, I try to do at least one thing and make one overarching goal move. You understand? Whether it's a physical goal or financial goal, spiritual goal, no matter what it is, I try to move one thing, one piece forward. So I think I'm gonna allow you know YouTube to be that thing this year. Um, and at the turn of the year, I need to be able to do about 5 muscle ups, and I'll feel good about myself. Everything else will fall where it will.
Understood. Understood. So, you were talking, and by the way, Andrea is having some technical difficulties. You get what I'm saying? But we're gonna keep this show going. So, one thing that was kind of pivotal is that you mentioned about growing up. We talked about birthdays, and you talked about what you dealt with as the child of a Jehovah Witness family, right? It's not a trauma or anything like that, but you literally showed the impacts of what the lifestyle had on you as an adult, right? The lifestyle you have right now, you respect the fact that you're here when you could have been gone, you could have been under the grass, right? So you respect how green the grass is because you could have been under it. But then by the same token, you don't celebrate as much. Now, let me pull something up real quick, just to kind of bring us, So, all right, before I pull it up, I don't even have to ask you that question, so I could table that question about, do you think that the way you were raised had an impact on now? Because you just showed it. Do you think that it impacts the way that you would raise a child if and when you had an opportunity?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you think?
Um, I have a relatively large family, and particularly on my mother's side, and most of them were not raised under that same umbrella. They're very much so traditional Americans in a lot of ways. Um, so they participate, and even though we didn't celebrate when we went to their houses, they always like, I don't give a damn what your mama say. Here, take this. You understand? And I noticed that as an adult, what I mean, making my own choices about what I believe in, that a lot of those things, that I've come to draw my own conclusions of about holidays and what
You're breaking up, Vic. You're breaking up.
I got about
You just mute. You went mute.
my bad. I said I got about 2 more minutes in route. I don't know if
Okay,
you
go
can still
ahead.
hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, making my own assessment of what I chose to believe in, what I chose to participate in, and just watching the rest of the world amongst my family being a part of that world and seeing how it directly people's upbringing and the differences in thought processes, the results of those things. And it seems like a lot of those things are like what do we call them, like strongholds. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like even with the knowledge, it's very hard for, you know, people that I would consider highly intelligent people to break away from those. I've watched, you know, people that I love and care about and respect, go in financial straits trying to keep up with Christmas. You understand? Trying to make everybody happy. And like I'm like, ain't we a little bit old for this? But at the same time, that tradition is embedded so deep that it would be, you know, a greater bother um, to go without or to change that tradition or disappoint the children. And I feel like we owe it not to propagate that to the next generation. So if I had to raise children, which I do plan to in the very near future, um, I understand that me and uh, this young lady are gonna have to, you know, come to terms before that ever comes to be, because I can't have that mixed belief in my household, because I need my children to know the truth. So it's not that say that, okay, because Christmas comes around, y'all can't, you know, have anything, or you can't celebrate amongst each other about, you know, being alive and having family and togetherness and fellowship. But what we're not doing is telling and propagating lies and saying that Santa Claus and false history. I'm not gonna allow that to go
Okay.
forward. If it goes
All right.
past this generation, it
So
won't be on. It won't be
let's
me.
pause on that. I want to pause on that. I don't want to go too far down because I gave you a minute and you going you forging real far ahead, right? So pretty much in terms of the initial question, your past has had an impact on how you move as an adult now, right? We can agree on that part, right?
Correct.
All right, cool. Andrea,
Yes.
what's going on?
What's
You
going
made
on?
it.
Yes, I
You escaped the kidnappers.
made it. Yes, I made it.
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
So, did you have an opportunity to hear anything that we discussed so far, or I will start back if you
I
need me
came
to.
in, Vic was talking, so I was he was talking, so no, I didn't. I didn't hear all
Okay,
of it.
all right. So basically, we were celebrating Vic's birthday, and then I asked Vic
Mm-hmm.
about his celebration, and what he did was he talked about the lifestyle, the church lifestyle that he came up in, being his parents being Jehovah's Witness during the time of his growth. So
Mm-hmm.
of course we know folks of the Jehovah's Witness uh, following don't celebrate holidays.
Yes, they don't.
Historically, do not celebrate holidays. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they may recognize a person's another year around the globe, but it will not be celebrated. So, because the topic is about spiritually transmitted diseases, potentially related to trauma or not, you know, it was a perfect pickup.
Mm-hmm.
So, without going too far into detail, do you think that do you think that your personal upbringing shaped who you are? It seems like a simple question, but it's going to go deeper than that. Do you believe your personal upbringing um, shaped who you are?
Yes, I do.
Okay, positive or negative?
I say both.
How about you, Vic? Your positive or negative experiences. You came up your positive or negative experiences. Do you think that your upbringing, do you think they impacted you positively or negatively?
Both.
Both.
More positive than negative, but definitely both.
Yeah, I say both.
So for me, I would definitely say both. I would say both, but I would also say there's so many positive and negative ways that it's affected us
Mm-hmm.
that we don't know because we haven't actually been placed into those particular situations where our knowledge or experience in those areas would actually help us or someone else. You know, there's, without getting too deep, somebody that may have been a victim of non-consensual adult touching, algorithm talk. A person that as a child was a victim of non-consensual adult touching, they may be sitting in a room and see a particular adult looking at another child that might be around the same age that they were when it happened. And they may recognize something. And they may jump into action in order to protect that child.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, that is the positive impact of previous negative trauma. Definitely. And that's one of those things where we thought would have been a negative impact that
Mm-hmm.
we thought was really wrong. And it was really wrong. But the impact was able to translate into something positive. That's one of those weird ironies of life. What do you think? Somebody?
Yeah, I mean, put it like this, right? You gave an example of, someone being very aware of, you know, someone dealing with children inappropriately and them being more sensitive to that because of something they may have experienced themselves. So, something negative, informing, their sensibilities. And I think everything, what you say is 10%
Peace,
of what 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you deal with it. Go ahead, Chef.
peace to brother. No. I was just saying peace to brother. I was about to say brother Chef. You got to see too. Peace to bro C, brother Clarence. Thank you for that $10 Powerball. Powerball. We don't call it a Powerball. You don't got to give me
Yeah, that.
200 million. Powerball. Appreciate you, big
All
bro
right,
C.
bro. See.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of this topic, we may need you on this, bro. See, all right, because we go a little deeper into this. But I
Mm-hmm.
sincerely appreciate you, and I sincerely appreciate the fact that we was able to olive branch all of that other stuff right now because it's nothing but respect. All it was feelings, feelings, and it wouldn't have mattered if we ain't had love for you. So that's the beauty of it. We're gonna talk about that part, not our situation, but in terms of how feelings impact what we transmit. So go ahead, Vic. My bad, man.
Yeah. So for instance, um, gang culture. Um, I grew up around a lot of that, like a lot of that, and when dealing with this generation of the youth that are so far removed from the origins of where it started, you know, the young men that are in my purview, in particular in my family, where I have some degree of authority over these and an investment over these young men. I put my hands on them because the way that you describe how someone would notice, you know, something about a child, I notice when they're tipping those roots. I look at my nephew. Oh yeah, well what's up with that head though? You know what I'm saying? Oh, what's up? Why you got on all these colors, huh? How come everything in your closet look like this, huh? You know what I mean? And where parents be like, oh, his favorite color is red. It's not a big deal. I just buy him red everything. You know what I mean? And you be like, hey, don't be no fool. But where, that was maybe be considered a negative impact on my life that may have slowed me down to a large degree and caused me, certain degrees of trouble. I knowing and experiencing those things, I can recognize it, like you say, faster. And now I am able to use that as a tool. My voice can be heard louder in their ears because they understand they can't get nothing by me. They ain't seen nothing that I ain't seen. You know what I mean? And it gives me a, a deeper resonance inside of their ears when I speak, even more so than their parents.
Talk to us, Andrea.
Yes. I it has some negative aspects, and then it has some good ones. Don't get me wrong. I took the good ones that my parents taught me, and negative ones that I didn't think was good. They didn't come along with me.
How does that work? How do we just how do you just figure that you take the ones that worked and didn't work? How did you figure what made them work and what didn't?
Because I figured if I didn't like my parents' rules or what they didn't allow me to do when I became a mom, I wanted to be different. So when my mom wouldn't allow me to express my feelings of how I felt about something, I allowed my children to express their feelings, but my daughter takes it to the next level. And so, and so, so and sometimes some of their no's I say yes, and so I'm trying to have a balance.
Hmm. So I'm going to ask you a very important question I want you to be honest about.
Okay.
If they would have said yes to everything, would you be the same person you are?
No, I would.
Hmm. If they said yes to every single thing, would you have been worse, the same, or better?
I probably been worse. I probably would have done. I probably would have done a lot if they would have said yes.
I appreciate your honesty.
Mhm.
So, kind of like medicine, it tends to taste nasty to us. We may not like it, but we understand when we need it, right?
Mhm.
All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. Derek said expression's good for a child, but it should be measured for them. I definitely understand because I agree with you on that, brother Derek. If you don't measure it, what's going to happen is you're going to give the child a false sense of open communication. You know, metering what we say, parsing our words, I think is important, especially in this politically correct environment that we live in. There's certain things you can't say. You could feel things, but
Mhm.
society forces us to filter things.
Yes.
You have to be very careful, you know.
Mhm.
We're very, very careful. And why? All right.
Behind Wabbit.
Because children have no filter. We have to guide them. Words matter. And understanding how folks take things so personally, that can be an issue. Yes. Thank you. It's like you read my rhyme book. So let's talk about it. Are average people judgmental?
It's average people judge. I think we all judgmental. Ain't just average. It's we all.
All
We all
right.
have. We all have some judgment. It don't matter what it is. It could be the neighbor, your friends, your family, your closest best friends. We all got judgment. We might not all say it to each other, but in the back of our mind, we got some type of feeling about it.
Okay. I agree. So you consider yourself judgmental. You said we all judgmental.
Yeah,
Pretty much, right?
we all. I think we all got a little judgmental in it.
Okay. All right. What you think, Vic?
Well, it wouldn't be right if I wasn't difficult. When you say average people, what do you mean?
exactly what the word average means. Average people, the majority of the people.
He already on one
It's
tonight.
like
He is already on one tonight. He is.
I'm just saying that's a very
no,
general.
average. There's
All
only
right, so
no average. Average means the mean. Average means the majority. You get what I'm saying?
okay,
The
so the
exact
majority
word.
of people. I want to be clear on what I'm answering
When
before
we
I
say
answer it.
average, right? Average, exactly what Webster will call average.
It's cool. Just say the majority, and we good. I just want to be clear on what I'm answering. Um,
Average is more
the,
than just the majority, though. Remember, there's the minimum, there's the maximum, and then there's the average in the middle. So, average. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, so I have a. If you want to say prejudice, yes, in my opinion, everyone is prejudiced. We prejudge. We look from the outside and we make our own opinion about what other people are doing, what they should be doing, and what you know we think their outcome is going to be. And we're better at judging other people's shit than our own. However, um, judgment has many different definitions. So if you meaning in the general sense of do people try to make an assessment of how you living and is it good or bad, then yes, I agree with Andrea. We all do that.
All right, cool. So, yes,
Teammate is right there.
yeah, I believe we all make judgments.
Yes.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to make judgments. Part of the judgment spectrum is led by discernment. Our level, hold on. Our level of discernment, what that does is it controls the judgments that we make. It controls the judgments that we make without question. Gabrielle said he is judgmental. I believe it does control the judgments we make, right? So now, average people pretty much are judgmental. Andre was absolutely right. So now, in terms of how we move, do we fight against it? Would you, let me ask you, do you believe that you fight against judgment or that you move in a way understanding that you will receive judgment? I'll give my answer for myself. I spent a lot of time fighting judgment, not wanting judgment, until I reached a point in my life where I understood judgment is something that happens. Judgment is a survival instinct. It's part of your survival instincts. If you've been through a certain set of the woods and then now you lost in the woods, you're going to lean back on the judgment you have about the woods and what's safe and what's not safe to do based on all of the other sets of forests you've gone through. So judgment is important as a survival instinct, complementary piece to your survival instinct, you know. And I've moved. Once I reached a certain point, I recognized, damn it, I can't spend the rest of my life fighting judgment. And then as you become civilized, you start moving in a way so that everything is smooth, the path of least resistance. And there's certain things that you start to do to avoid the judgment of others. I think it's a human thing. You look like you wanted to say something, Andrea.
Yeah, I spent my 20s trying to please everybody else. And when I got to my 30s, I don't give a fuck anymore. Cause I'm like, look, if you ain't helping me pay my bills, you ain't helping me take care of my kids, and you ain't over here helping me clean up and wash for them and take care of them. I don't really care how anybody feel, and that was including my own parents. Because and even my girlfriends, I stopped going on girlfriend trips who were some girls that I couldn't stand, but my other girlfriends were friends with them. So I stopped going places with people who are judgmental or people who I'm just saying yes because out of obligation and not because I want to do it.
Okay. Vic, you got anything on that part?
Um, I I hate using big words if I'm not 100% sure the exact term of what I'm meaning. But there's a word, scrupulous or unscrupulous, um, which, you know, I would say I'm way more scrupulous than unscrupulous. And I don't like to mix company with unscrupulous people. In other words, if you don't got no standards, if there's nothing that you won't do, if you accept everybody, shout out to you for being so open, but I ain't that kind. So I need a country with borders and border patrol agents.
Mm.
I ain't letting everything in, and I ain't trying to give everything out to everybody. So that's just how I move, and I found that to be way more beneficial to the goals that I'm looking for, and to keep me out of what we spoke about it before about choosing the room that you're in,
Mm.
and that's how they got an old phrase say that's how it happened to you, and I try not to let it happen to me. So I think my judgments or scruples are essential to my survival and my success, and I'm I'm very much so judgmental in that fact. Not to the point that I'm trying to make aspersions about people or put them in a negative light or tell other people like, hey man, watch out for this guy. But I just know where I stand with those people, and if I don't know much about that person and I'm basing it off of past experience, then that just says that you know the likelihood of me allowing a conversation or a meeting to evolve past a certain point is going to be based off the things that you do next. I'll I can meet someone who is homeless and smells like the inside of the dumpster. They call it judge righteous judgment. Judge not by the appearance. So when I say judgment, I'm not basing it off of those things. I'm basing it off of vibes, energies. Okay, that's a tweaker. I know what a tweaker look like. Look at it.
Right.
Look at it. You know what I'm saying? I can
So
peep those things.
so that leans back. So pretty much that leans back to the what I considered the survival based judgments, the judgments that you use to discern your surroundings in order to know what's safe and what's unsafe. Right.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. Do average people open themselves up to the scrutiny of others? Do average people open themselves up to the scrutiny of others?
Yes, I believe they do.
Really?
Yes.
Talk to me about that. How do you see that in action?
Yeah, I think average people open themselves up to judgment. Um, it depends on what are they gonna understand the judgment, or they gonna listen to the judgment, or they gonna be the kind of person say, I don't give a damn, judge me or not, I'm doing what I want to do.
So average. So what you're saying is that average people, the majority of people, if somebody judges their behavior, what you're saying is that they're accepting of it. They welcome it.
It depends on who. It depends on who it is.
I said average. So that means average.
I
Listen,
think some people open themselves up to judgment, and some people don't.
right.
Hmm.
So okay, let me do it this way.
Okay.
Do
That's
more
why I
or
say you
less.
can't say average. You mean majority in this case.
Let me do more or less people. Is it more people that open themselves up to the scrutiny of others, or is it less people?
Less people.
Okay. So on average, the majority of the people don't accept it.
True.
Right?
Right.
Right. Because there's gonna be some people that do any kind of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now my question is, do you open yourself up to the scrutiny of others?
Mm,
So let me give an example just to Me opening or allowing or opening myself up to the scrutiny of others is putting myself in a position where I will allow other people to tell me about myself, however they feel. That it's all right for somebody to come and tell me about myself, about what they think I did wrong, or how I did was wrong, or how I'm living. So now, do you open yourself to that type of scrutiny? Really? Because we got people that say, yo, you can ask me anything, I'm an open book. But then if somebody asks a question that may trigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the triggers. Then it turns into another situation.
Well, I only open myself up to my closest girlfriends that I've been friends with since I probably was 20 years. I know they got my best interest, and they wouldn't, even if they said something that hurt my feelings or try to help me in life, they I know they're not doing it out of spiteless or malice or me. They're doing it to trying to help me. So not everybody can come at me. No, that's what it ain't. You don't know me like that. You don't know my story. You don't know my history. No, but my girlfriends who I've been friends with almost 20 years, yes, you can do that.
Okay. Thank you. So now, you said you open yourself up to scrutiny of others, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But pay close attention.
Okay.
What you actually stated was that the only people that you open that scrutiny up to, or that you allow
Mm-hmm.
openly to give you scrutiny,
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that know you,
Mm-hmm.
love you, that
Mm-hmm.
you love,
Mm-hmm.
and that are aware and understanding of your previous trauma, right?
Yes. Yes.
Why? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it, but
Okay. Okay.
you know, why? You kind of did answer it. The
Okay.
why is because you know it may not be as harsh as someone who doesn't give a damn about you.
Sure.
So now, is our scrutiny truly open? My mama could tell me whatever she wanted to tell me about me. My auntie, my sisters, my cousins, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we exist within a periphery of love, a love bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Society moves differently, and there's a reason I'm asking that question. You know, Vic, do you feel that average people open themselves up to the scrutiny of others?
When you say average people, probably not. But I can speak for myself. Uh, I don't care. Anybody can say what the fuck they want to say about me. Talk, nigga. Hopefully, one thing you say will be true, and I can be better for it. You know what I mean? I can take 99% of what you say and throw it all in the trash can, but if 1% of the shit you said helped me out, I appreciate it. I don't care. But
I
you
don't want
have
to
to
go too
be.
far. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to.
It ain't too far. I'm just
No,
saying
no, no,
that.
no, no. You don't know where I'm going. That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to make sure first. Do average people open themselves up? If you think that average people open themselves up to the scrutiny of others, the next question was going to be the why, right? The why do you? Because you stated that how you go when it comes to the scrutiny. So what I want to know is why? Why do you feel like that? Why do you not want the scrutiny of others?
That's what I just
Or
said. I don't. I
why
don't
does it
care.
not impact you?
You said why does it not impact me?
Yeah, because your answer initially was that if we talk about the averages and most, you said most people don't allow it, and then what you
Right.
stated was you yourself specifically,
Right.
you let it roll off your shoulders, right?
Right.
But my question is, do you not do you open it? Do you welcome it? So you stated you let it roll off your shoulders. So what it is you spoke to it as though as it may be something that could be a nuisance, right? So what it says to me is that you don't welcome it. You don't open yourself up to it. Is that, would you consider that
No,
accurate?
that's not accurate.
So
I think
do
I
you
think
open
I think
yourselves up to the scrutiny of others?
yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm different than the average Joe because I see value in people's random opinions about what I'm doing. However, people who are more sensitive or whose self-esteem is in, uh, who is a little more fragile, whose base is a little more fragile. My square is pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? This shit made of stone. What I stand in is in truth. So it's kind of hard to knock me off of that. However, everybody doesn't like when people, because there's a lot of people who will be considered manipulators, people who are very intelligent, who are very good with words, who can basically take people who are not as good and twist their head around, and people who are more susceptible to that generally have experience with that and don't like that, and that's most people.
Okay.
And so they work very hard to keep people out of their bubble, and they say, hey, listen, I'm doing me, and as long as you don't got a problem with me doing me, then you do you, and I ain't got a problem with that, and we'll keep it like that. And if we like the same shit, then we'll vibe, and if we don't, we won't. But I don't want to hear all your opinions about my shit. And that's how, in my opinion, the average Joe rolls.
Okay.
I ain't the average Joe.
Gotcha. So do average people open themselves up to the scrutiny of others? I believe no. My answer is no. Average people don't open themselves up to the scrutiny of others. Why? Is it always a negative thing? No. That's also survival. Understanding previous things that took place in life, understanding the paths that they took, and society. Understanding society and how society and optics within society force us to view things, So that takes us to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Does today's society make it easy to vent or share trauma? So, and this is a two-part question for you guys. Does society make it easy to vent or share trauma? And then the question would be, how do you vent or share trauma? If y'all care to share it.
No, I don't think society makes it easy to vent or share trauma. Because if I have seen people share their trauma especially on YouTube, and how people make fun of them for sharing their trauma or making fun of their trauma. Now I don't share my trauma with everybody unless I have healed. So I can share my trauma now because I went to therapy and I have healed. Now and and I'm only gonna share who I feel like I'm safe to share with, or who's gonna have that understanding.
Understand. How about you, Vic? You think today's society makes it easy to vent or share trauma?
I think that it's headed in that direction because you see the results of when people don't share and bottle it up. So I think there's a lot of good people who want to make that available to people. However, the majority of cases, for the majority of people, no, because even when people do offer people to share their trauma, they use it against them and they judge them because of it, because it's a natural human reaction, and it forces people to close themselves off again. And I just think uh, it's never going to be easy to share trauma by definition.
So, but as of right now, do you think that society makes it easy to vent or share that trauma, or no? As of where, not where we're going, but where we are right now, do you think that it make it more difficult or less difficult to share trauma, to
So
vent
like this,
trauma?
it's easier than it's ever been right now. Let's say that.
Mm,
Hmm.
wow. What's interesting is, in terms of my answer to, well, I forgot your second part. How do you vet trauma?
I mean, a lot of people think venting means to verbally communicate what happened to you. Uh, I release trauma. That's my vet, you know.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I
I'm at.
find
It could
I
be
find out what
verbal. It could be verbal. It could be physical. I'm just asking, what is your release?
I,
For some older ladies, they may go bake 40 pies. You get what I'm
just
saying?
like that, you know. I work out, I play basketball, I hit the bag. You know what I mean? Those are my things. I go to people who I respect, who I know have been through similar traumas. I may or may not, you know, mention a thing or two to them to see how they feel about it and test the water. And, you know, allow people that I respect, who I know understand my trauma, to comment about it.
Hmm.
Okay, I could dig that. So in terms of my answer, I don't believe that today's society makes it easy to vent or share the trauma. So when I use the term share, I'm talking about sharing it with a party where they're able to almost help take that load off your shoulders, and to be able to absorb what you're talking about with a high degree of empathy and understanding. I don't believe that society does that right now. I believe that society is extremely judgmental. Now, to your point, Vic, when you said that society makes it easy, I think where I'm getting is you feel that way because I think there's a lot of people that have been out there attempting to utilize knowledge of their particular subset of traumas to get out of accountability or being held accountable for certain things, and they lean on their previous traumas. I think that piece has been there for a long period of time. But do I believe that it's easy right now? No. How do I vent my trauma? I could be real. It's something that I still work on. I
Hmm.
internalize. I tend to internalize, you know, I tend to internalize. There's times that I tend to blame myself within a certain dynamic as well. And maybe that's the Stockholm syndrome within my mind. Maybe it's the defense mechanism, my own personal psychological defense mechanism that does not want me to feel as though I'm a victim. I can't walk feeling as a victim. So I have a tendency to internalize and blame myself, even if I was innocent. I may blame myself for even putting myself within a particular room, engaging with a particular person, allowing certain people within my love periphery. Other things that I do is I take on projects. I take on projects. I cook, you know, I write, I think about different things. So there are some physical things that I do to vent my trauma. But normally those things I'll do those physical things when it starts to work itself in my head, you know. So that's one of the things that I have to work on because we're at a certain point now. So you guys fully understand where we are. That's the way that I would address my spiritually transmitted diseases because I can potentially bring that on to someone else. All right.
Allow me to clarify what I was saying before. Uh, when I say it's easier now than it's ever been, that's why I made that caveat is than it's ever been because we have this space here. If you remember way back when, before this whole internet thing, when there was a group called MAD, MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving,
Drunk
right?
driving. It-
And you know, it was like, oh wow, that's dope that they formed something and they all can share their traumas and make perhaps move legislation and draw attention to this cause. Well, if you look around now, it couldn't be any easier. There's thousands and upon hundreds of thousands of all kinds of groups for all kinds of reasons and seasons, and you can find people so easily that have your very unique trauma or misfortune, and find people who understand you across the world just by picking up your phone in your hand. So, not to say that once you express that trauma, that these people are going to be qualified to help you or not be judgmental once you express that, but it is definitely easier to find a place where you fit and where you can say your piece. So whether they misuse that or they help you, that remains to be seen. But it is definitely, in my opinion, easier now to find a place just to get it off, where before you would have just been stuck in your local town, sucking it up.
Okay. All right. Cool. So other people. But before we move on to the other people, I gotta stop and show some love. Pardon me, all. It don't mean I don't love you. I'm just blame it on the mind and not the heart. Aaron Laura, peace, peace, peace. Welcome, welcome to the squad. Welcome. I appreciate you popping in as always. She said, I'd like to say I'm open, but I don't think I put myself in a position to be criticized by strangers. So maybe I'd be triggered and I'm not just aware yet of how I'd react. Okay, I could appreciate that. Big Bills, my man before the billion. Salute, salute, my guy. Thanks for popping through. Terry said, yes, it does, but it's not wise as folks use folks' trauma against them. I agree. The irony, social media is not social. You must have a thick skin understanding that life is a contact sport. Protect yourself at all times. Damn. That, so far, that might be the quote of the night. I like that. I like that. Terry said, with black people historically, we tend to call folks weak that seek professional help in order to keep the white man out of their business. Interesting. Pray. Derek says, confirm that physical exercise releases dopamine, a feel-good hormone, a natural high. Magnesium is known to calm you down and no addictive effects, unlike the prescription medication doled out. Dr. Derek C. Williams, we need you. Stat. All right. There's an, on the other hand, struggle is your fee for life. Human beings need adversity. Adversity shows who you really are, not who you claim you are. Yes. Aaron Laura said, I text my mom blow up. She usually just reads them and gives a simple response like a bot. But she knows I'm blowing steam. I'll apologize to her when I cool off. Okay, I like that. Thanks for sharing.
Ain't nothing wrong with seeing professional help. Shoot, I call my therapist back. Shoot.
There's nothing wrong. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional help.
Because I believe in the black community, they always telling us go to church and pray, but they'll never tell us to go to sit on somebody's couch, okay, and maybe release some of that pain and trauma.
Absolutely. And that was the piece I was going to state, is that as a community, on average, we don't respect the psychological practice. We don't respect psychology. We don't respect psychiatry. We don't respect therapy.
You want to know?
Think about it. The pendulum is right in the middle, because it used to be where if you said, oh you went to it, because it wouldn't matter what you called it. Oh, you went to a shrink? That nigga seeing a shrink. Oh, that motherfucker went loony bin. You stay away from that motherfucker. Watch him. You understand? And it was always a stigma. You understand? So it's been destigmatized at this point. Now, to convince somebody to go do it is a whole nother thing. But at least to this point, it's been destigmatized where you can just out say, I call my therapist now, to the point now it's
Totally.
almost trendy and fashionable.
Totally. I got to push back on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Push.
I don't think that it's destigmatized at all. I think that some of the stigma of it may be moving away from different aspects of our community, but it's still stigmatized. Let me tell you, it's still stigmatized
Mm-hmm.
within the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could tell you this: don't tell somebody if you live on old block or you in the hood. You know what I mean? You rolling 60s or you here, there, the other, and you telling somebody you could be down with the Gambino crime family in the Italian mob, and you let them know that you're talking to a therapist. The stigma's still there.
Yes,
There's people now where you got
Amongst
celebrities that are
gangsters,
doing it. I believe there's celebrities that are doing it and people that are coming to grips of understanding it, but the stigma is still there.
yes, it is.
It's not completely removed, but when you referring to gangsters is always gonna have their own ecosystem and thought process.
So take the
rules,
gangsters out. Let's just talk about regular
yeah.
old people in the hood.
Regular
Let's just
old
talk about
people
regular
say-
old people in the hood.
If you say you're going to see a therapist, they was like, "Oh, you crazy in the head, or you ain't rap tight." That's why you seen a therapist. But for years, my girlfriend encouraged me to see a therapist, and I was always fighting with her because I was like, I don't want nobody messing in with my mind or messing with my head. That's what I told her. And then finally, something snapped in me that like I need to go see somebody for real, for real.
Well, see, there's a difference between talking to someone and being prescribed medication for an illness, which is way more stigmatized than to just having a conversation and needing to decompress.
But the conversation is where it starts, though. Because
Mhm.
remember, the therapist is going to be the one that's going to have to get you to the, clinical psychologist.
Mhm.
You would actually have to be with the therapist first in order to go to the person that actually is the psychologist that's able to prescribe the medicine. So it's still part of the same triage process, just some people won't require the medicines. You follow what I'm saying? But it's still part of the whole psychology or psychiatry, culture,
Right.
structure.
I think it's a matter of education. You know what I'm saying? And I think people are starting to understand the difference. The fact that everybody who goes to see someone doesn't necessarily have to go get medication to say that, yep, you're crazy for sure. Got to take these, or you're gonna go loony bin. I don't think that's as prevalent as as the thought process for the average person because people are more educated about what it is. It's way more common. You may know someone when back in the day you didn't know no one. You may know someone. I know Andrea for sure. You know what I'm saying? There's people you can say, hey, I heard this one say he went. I heard this one said she went. You know what I mean? Black like me. And they came out and they all right and they ain't getting no medicine. They just talk through their shit. So even if you don't subscribe to it, it's not as uncommon. You know what I'm saying?
And what I found with my therapist is she's a neutral. She unbiased. She neutral. She don't know my family. She don't know my friends. I can just say how I feel about all of them, and I don't have to ever hear it again. And she can help me have some tools to help communicate better with them.
You just gonna hear it again in that book she gonna write.
It's HIPAA law, baby. It's called HIPAA law. Okay. Yeah. But I do. I tried to talk to my mom about seeing a therapist. She was like, "That's what crazy folks do." I said, "Well, oh, okay. Well, I must be crazy then."
So I don't know, man. I think y'all dancing right now. I'm playing.
You just want to say somebody dancing. Put some
Yeah,
music
I just
on.
want to
All
say
right?
it today.
All of us up there together say
Put some music on. Then you say string on out there and straighten this thing out. Put some music
Yeah.
on.
So you see that question up on the screen? Don't answer it. Don't answer it. All right. Don't answer it. I want to play something for y'all.
Okay.
Somebody come get her, she's dancing like a stripper. Hey, somebody come get her, she dancing like a stripper. Hey, somebody come get her, she dancing like a stripper.
Oh, I can't do it.
This is Christopher Street. One of South Ferry, next stop, house in Franklin.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So Vic.
Don't so Vic me with that shit.
Whoa.
I mean, you wanted some dancing shoes, you got them.
Does that young lady deserve love?
Whoa, time out. What? Is that the right question? Does she deserve love? What that mean?
Hold on, let me see. Peace, love, and light to sincerely yours, Nadia. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you.
Hola, Nadia.
Thanks for coming through. So, does she deserve love? Is she entitled to love?
First of all, it only showed her for like 3 seconds. I'm looking at the back of someone's jeggings. So I don't know what's up with her. I ain't really peep her demeanor. I don't know nothing about that girl. She might have her AirPods in, listening to goddamn what white folks listen to. I have them turned up. You know what I'm saying? So hell, she might just be maxed out and
I'm
having
just
a great
asking
day.
if she. Yeah, I'm just asking you if she deserves love. That's all.
I would hope that everybody deserves some version of love.
Thank you. So then that would mean yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes. I just want to figure a point that we agree, not just that could be any answer. We agree. Everybody deserves love. No.
Yeah.
What you think, Andrea? You think everybody deserves love?
I believe everybody deserves love. Yes.
Okay. So Vic, Andrea, you gonna answer it too?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to you after Vic. But
Okay.
let's make believe for your sake that person was a sexy 6'6" black man with 6-pack and all of that stuff. A man that you would find attractive or whatever, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That was carrying on like that. So when we come back, that's gonna be your scenario.
Okay.
So Vic, imagine if that young lady looked like the most beautiful woman that you've ever seen, and she was carrying on like that, right? Hello?
You talking, bro?
No, I'm just making sure. I want you to think about that person who is carrying on like that, and I want them to look exactly like whatever woman you think is the most beautiful woman. If she went and hollered at you after carrying on like she just did on that train, would you have accepted her hollering at you?
Okay, first thing you have to do is play the clip again because I didn't even know what the target was to be looking for in the clip. I hear this dude.
There wasn't
I'm
no
looking at his
target. It
ass.
was just. It wasn't like no riddle or nothing. It was just a clip.
What I'm saying is, I don't even know who in the frame I'm supposed to be focusing on. There's like 4 people in there, and then the guy moves, and you got 2 seconds of her dancing, apparently marching or some kind of weird ass dance. So I don't know what the hell I was even watching. So if not too long, I think you should play it again.
All right, give me a second. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, Andrea, what you think?
Yes.
Yes, you would holler at him?
Yes, I would. That's my type.
Even after he was carrying on the way he was carrying on?
I would figure out I would figure he ain't shy. Okay.
Play that shit, man. Talking about
Yeah, I
carrying
took the
on.
shit off. Look, I took
What's
the shit off. I took the shit off the screen because I thought y'all was paying attention. So now I got to
what's
find it again.
it ain't paying attention. It's knowing what you're looking for. You said carrying on. I had to see something to see what carrying on is. You have to describe what carrying on means to you.
What carrying on? The person was sitting there dancing with their feet up, sticking their fingers in their ass.
No, that's what that was
Nah,
not.
see, I did not. That's why I say play it again because I ain't see nobody putting their hands in their ass. If that's what we talking about, then that's different. But just because you extroverted and you like to dance in public, I don't give a shit. That's what's up.
When I find that clip, I'm gonna bring it back. But just for the sake of movement, we're gonna keep this going.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of now, you have to, like I said, you have to describe what you mean by carrying on with the hands and the ass, something like that. Because
Don't even worry about it. Y'all ain't see it.
we
Don't
talking
even sweat
about
it.
dancing.
Don't even sweat it.
All
Don't
right,
even sweat it.
do
Y'all
your
ain't
thing.
see it. Are you able to recognize past trauma in others? Anybody?
I assume everybody's got past trauma. So
Okay.
when I see something, I may not be able to recognize what that trauma is, but I can definitely recognize that there's trauma there. Emotion.
So you're able to recognize somebody that's gone through trauma then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Vic was answering first, but so how, Vic? How do you recognize the past trauma? Like, how do you recognize that the person that you're meeting, that you're kicking it with, that they have previous trauma? How does it open itself up to you?
I mean, it's simple. You have what's considered a societal norm, and the people who sit outside of that societal norm at that time generally are people who have had extreme experiences. I don't like to call it trauma. Extreme experiences.
Why
And
you don't like to use the term trauma?
trauma makes you a victim. I'm cool
No,
on that.
necessarily. That's not true.
It doesn't.
It'll make you a victim.
You ever had a bruise?
What does it mean to be traumatized?
You ever
Well,
had a bruise?
Answer my question.
I asked
What
you
does it mean to
first.
be traumatized?
okay, well, it's all kinds of trauma. You can have church trauma. You can have the black folks trauma. You can have the gang violence trauma, living around them people like that. It's all kinds of trauma. You can have it's a lot of trauma people have.
Don't that make you a victim?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
Vic. Did you know that a
Anyway,
bruise is trauma? You ever had a bruise?
yes.
A victim
Okay.
is somebody who.
So a bruise is trauma. Does that make you a victim?
Yep. I'm a victim of what happened to me.
That's not.
All right. So listen, I know in terms of, I know you don't like to use that word. So in terms of the use, I'm just going with what the dictionary.
Hey, not to say you can't use the word. I'm just saying the way I see it. Like I say, people go to extreme circumstances because based on how you live, you may not see it as trauma. The people who were kidnapped in Ohio, the little girl who got kidnapped, she may have experienced trauma. However, her children that she raised inside of that household just knew it as home. However, society would say that they were traumatized, but they would not see it in such way. So it doesn't mean that they weren't affected, but they would be what I call grown through extreme situations or extreme circumstances where they don't see it as extreme because it is their baseline. But when you put them next to people who have not seen that, who have not experienced that, it makes them look odd and stand out, which is what makes it easy for people to recognize them. I grew up in a household where my family, they're very vocal, they're very aggressive, very say what the hell you mean, mean what you say, and so on and so forth. Like I said, I got a large family, you know what I'm saying? But when I get around other people, who aren't from a confrontational background, to them it looks strange. They're like, damn, what that nigga mad at? Why you talking like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But I don't consider that shit trauma. I look at them weird. Like, the fuck around with y'all little sensitive asses? G up. It's not trauma to me.
Okay.
If anything, it's an advantage.
Okay, so how do you recognize trauma in somebody that you're dealing with?
That's literally what I was just saying. When you compare them to what is considered the societal norm, if they are
No, I get that. That's the
not
general.
matching up with.
So let me zoom the lens in real quick, because that you gave the macro in terms of the generalization. How do you know if you're dealing with a woman? How do you know or start to recognize that she's had previous trauma? Not how we look at everyone. I'm speaking at Vic. She started dealing with a girl yesterday. My question is, how are you able to recognize their trauma when you are, and in terms of how it manifests themselves?
Right. That'll say if you want specific, then I can't generalize. It has to be more specific. I mean, you say, okay, this person does is accepting or isn't put off by certain situations. When this music starts, they start dancing to it, and you're like, okay, these drugs come out and they're not bothered by it. When the waitress comes by, she snaps at the damn waitress like why would you talk to somebody handling your food that way? You know what I'm saying? Certain things that are obvious, how people handle conflict in general. Okay, you gonna break your own shit? You that mad? Okay, whatever the case. It's usually easiest to recognize when people are upset. Let's just say that. That's the most obvious place to recognize trauma. How people manage their anger or irritation.
Okay, so Andrea.
Yes.
How do you recognize? Are you able to recognize past trauma in, say, somebody that you were dealing with, and how?
Well, if I had a boyfriend that didn't have a father in his life, and when Father's Day come, he would just get angry, and he would say that he don't know his father, and I could in ways that he talked, in ways that he moved, I could recognize that have affected him.
And so that's how you were able to see those differences.
Yes.
How did they manifest themselves specifically?
In some of his maturity way, like I mean, I asked him one time, have you ever, even when it's come to his dad, I was like, have you ever seen your mom and dad? Were they married? Were they together? Were they living in the same house? And he said no. And I know it's questions you can ask somebody. Like if say they didn't have, their parents weren't married, or say his father never lived in the house with them. It's certain. I listen to. I'm listening to what he's saying and how he moving more than I'm asking him questions, because it's going, and then how you get mad and how you communicate.
I got one for you, Chef. Sex.
Hmm?
Sex.
Come with it.
How people like to have sex. How aggressive they like to be, or how aggressive they don't like to be.
Mm.
Um, I don't know that there's a standard, but you know, some people are extreme on both ends of the spectrum. I've dealt with you know women are like, no, 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 only like this. You know what I mean? It has to be exactly like this, and not anything not a stroke faster.
So what
Like,
makes
oh,
that what makes that trauma based as opposed to just because
preference.
I
No,
have my proclivities. So what makes that trauma based as opposed to just they have a preference of how they like their lovemaking laid out?
it would be the equivalent to how you handle your anger or conversation style, confrontation. It's all the same thing, and you would, I guess, if you had nothing to compare it to, it wouldn't be so strange, and it may be harder to recognize. But if you have enough experience, you can see that, okay, yeah, you're different. Okay, oh, you've been watching way too much this or that, or the reason that you've been watching this and that and taking it to this extreme, maybe we should have a conversation, at some point about why you like to get choked beyond the point of
Mm.
consciousness. You know what I'm saying? That's not normal. I don't give a fuck what you like. You know what I'm saying? Something is generating that. You know what I mean? Why you feel like, okay, now and after the fact, you're like, well, I took a little far. No, hell no. That's because there's something, that a place that you're trying to get back to, that, yeah, you need to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And see why that is. Not that there's something wrong with it, but you need to be able to at least explain it to yourself. And I think a lot of people don't even know what their trauma is. That is the point of sitting on someone's couch, I guess.
Right. So from what both of you guys said, and I'm gonna answer the question. You guys pretty much gave a yes. You're able to recognize past trauma in others, and then you gave your hows. My answer is yes. If you're paying attention at all,
Mhm.
if you give a damn at all, at
Yeah.
all, at all,
Mhm.
you'll be able to see the signs of a person's trauma manifest itself. Sometimes it's the girl that gets an attitude when it's coming close to the time when you have to leave. There's women that are like that.
Yeah, that's the
There's
thing.
girls, there's the women that the first day you lay with them and you leave them with the leg shaking or something. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they may just start swinging on you. And what that is the trauma of loss representing itself sometimes. It's the trauma of loss. It's separation anxiety. I don't want this to end. The men in my life may have left. The daddy that I had may have gone. That's why sometimes you see situations where somebody that you may do something beautiful for them, wonderful for them, or give them a wonderful feeling. And while you think that they're going to be relishing in that moment for a long period of time, at some point, their nature may switch on you out of nowhere. And what it is because you've opened up the emotional bandwidth so wide, and their heart is wide open and vulnerable. And now it creates a level of fear. Their guard is down. And now their brain, their cerebral cortex starts to pull back to times of previous trauma where they might have gotten left by a dude, cheated on by a dude, abused by a guy. And the first time she laid with the guy might have felt just like that, or not as good if you know how to lay it down. So I've seen it. I've seen it. One of the first times that I seen it was when a girl, she started to cry. she started to cry when we were doing the thing. For a second, the young egotistical chef thought I just was hitting it. Like, in the back of my mind, I was like, yo, I made her squirt out her eyes. Right? As far as I know, that was inappropriate. But
Too much.
she went into she cried, and then the next time she cried, I didn't understand what it was, but then she shared certain aspects of her life and what she'd gone through. But I had to ask, but I did see it. And it manifests itself. She went through a lot. She went through a lot, you know. So I do believe we're able to recognize a past trauma is just how fully invested we are into that person.
Mm-hmm.
If we're determined to go deeper to figure out what caused it. If we're not, we're just gonna be like, man, that motherfucker crazy. Let me go and tap this and be out.
Yeah.
People move like that, but in order to figure it out, I think that we definitely need to be invested. So before we continue, I want to see what the chat's saying because we've been ignoring them for a minute. I'll take it. I've been ignoring them for a minute. Peace, Gail and Knight. Thank you for coming through. And yes, exactly what Gail said. Get your Zaire Guillaume today and use the discount. You see it on the screen and you get $10 off. You can share the discount code with your friends. All right. But please make sure you pick up the Zaire Guillaume's as
Shit,
well.
she don't want nobody to get that discount with that damn name.
Hey, so watch this. As a matter of fact, let me do this. We're going to pause for a little station identification just so you know what this thing is. Yeah. Box one. Box two. All right. I put a lot of work into these things. Invested time, money. Time is more, is more valuable. My family's time, my old lady's time, my kids' time, as well as my kid, old lady, and the rest of them inheritance to make this happen. So please support the cause. So let's see what's up with the chat. Gabrielle said, I do. My ex grew up in a very dysfunctional family. Her mother maintained her. She did not raise her, nor teach her how to be a lady. That's why my ex had a weird way to show love. I like the way that you stated that. It was a weird way, an unorthodox way of showing love. And we're going to bend the corner, y'all. Trust me. 100 Wizzy, welcome back to the YouTube streets. 100 Watts and Papa Watts. Robert Wales Watkins III. They dropped back on the Finesse Visions channel, and they had their biggest stream ever. So let's get it. Great show. And I look forward to more. And we finna do, I put it out there into the ether. We're going to do a Nighthawks show, right? Even because the Nighthawks was the first group we did, right? But we're going to do a Nighthawks show with Andrea and with Papa Watts. All right. And we're going to do it like a New Edition. Remember they added New Edition. So Either Papa Watts or Andrea is gonna be Johnny Gill. Y'all had to arm wrestle for that one. All right. But yo, good to see you, my dude. You know you was a part of this as well. Let's keep it moving. Many with previous trauma will actually go to the other extreme. Very friendly, very agreeable. Aha.
Chef,
Dawn. Yes.
look
Yes.
what Mama Goddess wrote in the chat.
Oh, I'm gonna
That's
go
very,
down, definitely. I'm gonna go down
that's,
to that one
that's
because I
very
had
true,
to
Don.
go back. This message is from 9:29. I'm 10 minutes behind, yo. So I'm gonna go quick. But listen, many with previous trauma will actually go to the other extreme, being very friendly, very agreeable. Watch this. Here's the simple representation of that idea that Don said. If you got your ass whipped as a child, even if you was a bad child and you got your ass whipped as a child, many children would say, I ain't never gonna whip my kids when I get older. Until your kids say some stuff that you would have never said to your mama. So we tend to lean away from things that may have caused us pain, you know, things that may have caused us pain. And there was a point that Vic was making earlier. I pulled back, and I purposely pulled him back because it's part of an overarching theory. Mama Goddess, Derek, happy to hear that. Okay, they showing love back and forth. Y'all need to get a room. All right. All right. Love bombing in the chat. All of these superficial women and men on reality TV create false drama. Amazing how many people watch that nonsense knowing it's scripted. Yeah. People have a tendency to want that, man. It's a lack of intrigue. Dawn said some with past trauma hide behind a smile or be very mean so people stay away from them. Yes. Emotional defense mechanisms. We try to create some sort of foil within the environment to either cushion us from the outside or to scare the outside from coming inside. So absolutely. Let me keep this going. Mama Goddess said abandonment issues. That's exactly what we were talking about in terms of the, in terms of that young lady. Old fella, welcome, old fella, back again. The signs of past trauma are varied as a number of ways someone can be hurt. For example, a woman who was abused as a girl could become promiscuous, or she could become totally frigid. Yes, fight or flight plays a major part within that and within the outcome. Absolutely. That trauma, that can manifest itself in many ways. All right. Derek said he has a video forthcoming regarding a child that's being traumatized as he types this. Absolutely heartbreaking, but very common today. It's a shame. It really, really is. Gabrielle said, my ex went through a lot from her upbringing to when we met. She was disrespectful and did not know how to love or how to show love. Man, Gabrielle, it's deep, bro. And when I say that's deep, the thing is that you were discerning enough to recognize it, but then strong enough or recognize that it was worth something to work on, because you said she went through a lot. When we met, she was disrespectful and did not know how to love or to show love. But you stuck around for however long. You stuck around. That's interesting. Mama Goddess said that's why it's important to get to know someone before you lay with them. Spirits and energy transfer, and it's easy to take on someone else's trauma just from that particular interaction. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot, Ariel. It's hard to accept live. Hey, peace and blessings to everyone in the chatting panel. Peace, love, and light to Hanifa Naila. Yeah. Peace, Hanifa. Great to see you back in the spot. Grab your seat. Very true, especially having many sexual partners. Sex is one of the most powerful forms of energy transference, especially when it's good. I'm sorry, but is there a specific number, Mama Goddess says most of us like as much good sex as we can get? What's your sex number? Anyway, Yeah. So get rid of the screen. So we did state that we're able to recognize past trauma in others.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to start. I overthink. I'm impulsive. When I feel strongly, sometimes I tend to overpower conversations. Sometimes I may feel as though something makes so much sense that I may become overbearing on a particular point. I speak loud. I love hard. I get in my feelings. When I get pissed off, I'm not quick to speak out. I internalize and I may go silent. Physical touch from strangers, unsolicited physical touch from strangers, it throws me off. I don't know how to play fight. So all of those different things that I just mentioned, hold on. All of those few things that I just mentioned, those are things that I do, that some of them that I mentioned are manifested in previous trauma. Absolutely. You know? So do you consider you have certain traumas? I mean, you and I have spoken a lot, Andrea, so whatever you want to share, but you don't have to share your traumas, by the way. I just did that just to, display a certain degree of openness, right?
Yes. I love hard. I'm a little loud. I'm a little rigid. I'm impulsive. I don't like somebody touching me when I'm having sex by my neck.
You don't want nobody touching you when you having sex?
No, around my neck. It's specific.
Oh.
Around my neck.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out the equation on how the hell that work.
Around my neck, because it was the past trauma of my domestic violence. I don't want nobody touching me around my neck.
Understood. Vic, you care to share?
Sharing is caring. Nah, I don't know. It's not, like I say, it's not trauma to me.
What's
People,
not?
people, people like to say, you know, like, damn, you must have this or you must have that. You must have been raised like this because you respond like this or you act like that. Um, I'm just very, very, very aggressive, very confrontational. I don't like. I show respect at all times, and I don't co-sign for disrespect. Like never, like to my own detriment. Which is why I have to watch the areas and the arenas and the people I'm around. I can't just be around everybody. It'll be bad for everybody. Um, even though my father left when I was young, people would think like my brothers took it different, because they were older, but I was young, so it didn't affect me in a negative way. In that way, you know what I mean. I had more issues from adulthood than more so than from childhood. So I don't think I was affected that way as far as a trauma is concerned. So I don't have much to give up in that area.
All right, so let me do this. Just in terms of setting, it's kind of late in the game, but just a baseline in terms of when we use the term trauma, it doesn't have to mean physical abuse. It doesn't have to mean, emotional abuse. It could be some level of hurt, some level of pain. Could be physical, could be psychological, emotional, spiritual, what have you. Some sort of pain that it caused you previously that manifests itself now when you're in certain situations. Like for instance, you all know that whole metaphor when the guy's just going to comb his hair or run his hand through the hair, and then the girl, early on in the relationship, immediately he's gonna think, oh, some dude might have went upside her head before or more than once. So when I talk about certain behaviors, how that trauma can manifest itself, right? So let's move on because there's a piece that I want to attach to the next question. Aaron Laura say, if you suffer trauma, your base for gauging it in others may be off. All right. You might think someone has suffered when they haven't because you're seeing something in you more than them. You're seeing something in you more than them. All right. And I'll explain.
I agree with
I
that.
don't know if she meant to do it or not, but there's something within our brains that allows us to see trauma and understand trauma in certain ways in order to is our brain literally trying to protect us from something that never happened to us, right? And that tool is called the mirror neuron, right? So let me pull something up for you guys just to bring you a little clarity on the mirror neuron. I'm gonna take y'all to school today, but the mirror neuron. Okay, pull the banner off. The mirror neuron. What are mirror neurons? Mirror neurons are a type of brain cell that respond equally when we perform an action and when we witness someone else perform the same action. All right. It's almost like deja vu. Mirror neurons, those are some of the things that we as human beings may actually mistake for empathy, where we may actually assume that we feel what they're feeling, but what we're doing is we're actually mirroring the response. Perfect example, mirror neurons. You have baby over here that's happy as hell, playing with a pacifier and a toy. And then you have baby over there that's not very happy, and baby over there starts crying. What happens with baby over here?
Start crying too.
Yeah.
Mirror neurons at its infancy. So bringing that up, and I'm glad you brought that up in terms of the perception of trauma. And this is one of the when you were talking about the perception early, Vic, and I stopped you. This is one of the places that's actually where I was going. I just ain't going to go to 7 minutes into the show, right?
Okay.
So it's about the perceptions of the trauma, and a lot of times the real trauma that's really detrimental and that's harmful, we never actually get to see it. We never actually get to see it. Sometimes we place trauma onto others based on our own personal trauma or perception of trauma. And we might not even had personal experience with the trauma. We may have known somebody that experienced that trauma. And it starts to manifest in us in certain ways. Remember, y'all, spiritually transmitted diseases, right? So let me pull this down. And we're gonna keep it running. Another important question.
We owe people.
Do we owe people with previous trauma our understanding? Do we owe them any understanding?
Yes, I believe we do owe them understanding.
Why? It's your trauma. Why?
Well, I'm a human being. I have empathy and sympathy for somebody who went through some trauma. Maybe I didn't go through it, but if they did, I'm gonna have an empathy and sympathy for them, and have a level of understanding. Look,
Okay.
I got trauma. You and Vic are my friends, and y'all have a level of understanding for me. I'm a little rigid. I'm impulsive.
You are within us. You are within our love bubble, our periphery of love. So it's different. That don't count.
That's facts.
Yeah, but at the same time, as you guys didn't know me until you guys didn't know.
It
Like,
doesn't matter. You in the bubble now, so it
You in
don't
the
matter.
bubble. The
You in the
bubble.
bubble,
The bubble.
so
The
it don't
bubble.
matter. That's what I'm saying. It. Okay, watch this. So I'm gonna make it easier for you. I gotta make it horrible.
Okay.
Somebody takes the life of one of your loved ones. Some stranger takes the life of one of your loved ones. And then when they're on trial, you start hearing about the abuse that they went through and the trauma that they had to go through in their life. Will you give a flying sorry, y'all. Would you care at that point?
No, I wouldn't care.
Why? You said you owe people with previous trauma your understanding. So there's a boundary to it then.
Where's the empathy?
Right. Where'd you go?
I have a little empathy. I will have a little empathy, but you took somebody that I love and out is not here no longer here. It's a whole different level. It's levels to this.
Okay, but so then do we owe people with previous trauma our understanding? Would you owe that person your understanding? Because remember, when we make statements like, yes, we do owe understanding, we're human, we're God's children and all of that. But do you really feel that you owe everyone our understanding?
Oh, nobody shit. They don't owe me. I don't owe them. But I would like to extend a certain degree of grace because they say to measure out what you would like to be measured in.
Yeah.
So where there's room for grace, I like to show it, but there ain't always room for grace.
Okay, so here's the thing though, and I'm gonna get back to Andrea. She ain't off the hook. You jumped in. What you stated is that, because I said, do we owe people with previous trauma our understanding? In terms of the need, what you feel is the necessity to display grace. You believe there's an inherent necessity for us to display grace. So that means we do owe them understanding. Now, you also stated that, of course, you're human, so you don't know how much of that grace you're going to be able to dole out depending on the scenario, right?
Yes.
Right. But you just said it as a negative thing where it's like, yo, but, we do owe them grace, or as a positive thing. So from what you said, you didn't give a yes or no, but Vic, it sounds like you say, yes, we do. But the thing is that you're only human and there's only so much you can give based on the scenario. Would that be accurate? Vic?
I thought you was talking to Andrea.
No, I said Vic. I was asking you okay, so let me ask it again. I asked, do we owe people with previous trauma our understanding? And according to what you stated, I took it as a yes, where you felt that, yes, there's a certain level of grace you have to give, even though depending on the scenario, you as a human being may not be able to give all of that grace.
No, my answer was no. Direct and explicit no. Nobody owes nobody.
So then tell me about the grace piece then.
Grace is what you would, for instance, if you say, hey Vic, I'm down bad, bro, you think you can hold me down for for a couple hundred until Friday, and I'm like, shit, chef, I'm strapped, but I'll see what I can do. I'll get you something. I'll work it out. My making that effort to cover your back would be out of compassion for your situation, but at the same time looking out for myself, because there may be a day where I need you to cover me, and I can't see that day yet. I don't know what the Lord has planned for me. So by allowing, you know, that extra effort on my behalf for you, that even if it's not you who covers me, someday someone else may look out for me the same way because I allowed that mercy or that grace for you. So that's what we would like to do. Those are the graces that we like to extend. But as far as O, there is no O. There is no O. Nobody owes nobody.
I'm not saying nobody owes nobody nothing, but it is a level of grace and mercy that you can have for somebody, and so what then if what we say is when people go to prison and they say they get a second chance in life, they do their time, and when they get out, they can start all over. Yes, so we do owe people grace and a little mercy, but in some situations, when it's hit close to home and it's family, mama, sister, brother, I don't know about that.
So, can previous trauma have an impact on somebody's behavior? Do you believe that?
I do believe that.
Okay. Vic, do you believe that someone's previous trauma, yes or no, can have an impact on their behavior today?
Yes.
Okay. So forget, because it seems like the O part is creating an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Should we give people with previous trauma our understanding?
Yes, we should give them our understanding.
Why?
Because maybe, I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I see people acting out, the question for me is what happened to them? Did something happen to them that made them why their behavior is acting out, or their behavior?
Who hurt you?
Yes, who hurt them? And so I'm asking the question. Some people just like they just crazy, they just do stuff like that. That's and I'm like, no, it's a story behind why that person is doing that. But not everybody want to ask them questions, and not everybody want the answer to them questions.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Vic, same question.
Should we? Like
Yeah.
I say, it's the same thing. Where it's what's in your budget. If you can afford to show the grace, show it,
Okay. How
because
about this?
it'll return.
If you could, would you give people with previous trauma your understanding?
My answer don't change. If I can afford to show the grace, I can. If you harm somebody that I love dearly, you get none. Or maybe you do. It just depends on the day and where I'm at with it and where the Lord has my spirit. You know what I'm saying? But in all honesty, you know, once it crosses over to impersonal into personal lines, that's why, I'm very careful about, you know, depending on what you did and how you went about it, you know, if it's truly a mistake of some kind, whether I can empathize with you or not, if it's a one shot, Charlie, like, okay, anybody could have made that mistake, then fine. But if you did something egregious that just like unexplainable, and it's like, oh well, it's because this happened to me. You gotta show, mercy because this happened to me. Okay, for instance, I told a brief story about a friend of mine who was a producer and basically, was found to have, video of things he had no business having video of. And, you know, another friend of mine, instead of, beating him up or sending him to jail, he called his mother, who explained that not only did she know about it, but she knew the source of said trauma and didn't realize it had manifested itself in that way, and that his own uncle had been traumatized, who had pushed that onto him. But nevertheless, if you let that shit trickle down into my household, I could give a damn about your trauma. If you touch something of mine, you understand? You're going to have a whole new set of trauma to take into another generation because I'm going to start it right here on your ass. And so, I mean, it doesn't, I can't say that because it would be, what do you call it? Like, not even hypocritical. It would just be a lie. It would be false civility or you know what I mean? I'm not no nun or no, you know what I mean? Not nun, but you know what I'm saying? Like no priest or nothing where, I just gotta let everything slide because I understand. Even if I can understand, you can get understanding, but that doesn't mean you get a pass. You understand? So just because I understand your parents, you can explain it to your parents. Like, Mom, this is why them boys had me, and I was like, nah, and you was like, hey, yeah, that's great. I understand. But your ass still grounded. You know what I'm saying? So instead of me whooping your ass, you on punishment all summer. How about that? And that's my understanding. It doesn't mean that you're free from consequence just because I understand where you're coming from.
All right. So let me just address this. I don't my fire alarms in the house, they ain't beeping. They connected to a system. So if my joint is beeping, it would beep the whole crib. So it's not me. I don't hear any beeps coming from Andrea. Is that your fire alarm?
Okay, tell Joanna she too damn nosy. Yes, it's mine. Okay,
oh, it's yours because I'm not even hearing it. But she said it's freaking her dogs out.
Single woman alert. Single woman alert.
Right, that's why you need to get a man in your house. So listen, we
gotta go ahead and do that KS
we shipping
episode,
you to Kendra.
Man.
We shipping you to Kendra G tomorrow. All right, since everybody want to go to freaking Kendra G, right? Yeah, even Jen went up on Kendra G. Jay Prince, Kendra G. I'm like, yo, yeah, man.
I want to answer Mama Goddess question in the chat since she out here throwing a question at me. Okay. The question she wants me to answer.
Which one? The one that's on the screen?
No, it's one before.
Okay, you gotta use I was gonna say, use the word delete. Joanna said the value of the stream is being undermined by the chirping quality so paramount. Let's demand quality, y'all. Or let's put some earmuffs on our dogs.
Keep it coming. Joanna then organized a march against your notifications.
Definitely see Mama got this question for me. She got a question there for me. I see you got a question. She put my name in there.
Okay, I'm gonna look for it again.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Andrea, what about your ex-husband or the men who hurt you in the past? Can you give them grace? Ooh.
Can I give them grace? Yes, Ryan Lynch gets grace. And the reason he gets grace because at the end of the day, I have children with him.
Say it again?
Yes, Ryan. Yes, he gets grace because at the end of the day, I have children with him, but he the only one to get grace. Everybody
Well,
else is good.
so now watch this.
Hmm.
All right. So in terms of the grace,
Yes.
that's interesting. You see the conversation where we are. Do we owe people with previous trauma our understanding? Right
Uh-huh.
now, your ex-husband, who
Yes.
was one of the people, you
Yes.
gave him a lot of understanding in terms of our conversations. We've had conversations, back channel conversations where you talked, you shared, you cried, right?
Hmm.
You got a lot off your chest and stuff, and Vic and I, we made it a safe environment where we can all just sit and comfort you and talk and give you opinions on where we think that you was right, then to tell you you didn't deserve that, and then points to tell you you was wrong, right?
Hmm.
So you gave him a high degree of understanding, but it was more so because of what you guys shared together.
Yes.
Beautiful children.
Yes.
You guys you guys were almost like teenage sweethearts. You guys came up in the same church together.
Hmm.
You grew up together, kind of like Steph and his wife and all of that.
Yes.
You guys faced a high degree of adversity together, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna give the crowd a little bit that you ain't give them, but it's a positive little bit. Her and her husband said fuck everybody and ran off to get married to each other together. They faced the storm together. They was in the trenches together. You feel what I'm saying? They were in the trenches together. And if Andrea, I think that this is part, and I'm glad Mama God has brought it up. The thing is, I always say that the higher degree of anger you have for a person is always somehow synonymous with the amount of love you share for a person. If you don't give a fuck about them, what they say doesn't matter to you. If you care about them, if you love them, if you've let them into your love bubble, your love periphery, what they do or what they say will sting for a long period of time. In terms of your trauma that you dealt with him, what I would say to you is this. Once you get yourself to a point where you're able to forgive him and understand his trauma and what led him, because remember, we deliver trauma to people as well. You talked about certain ways. At some point, once you're able to, I believe, and this is me believing, it doesn't mean it's right? I believe that once you're able to fully forgive him and have a high degree of understanding for whatever trauma that he had gone through and whatever he dealt with, and then how he addressed the situation with you, I think it would be easier for you to forgive any other man or understand or have a higher degree of understanding for other men. That's just my humble opinion based on knowing you. You know, a lot of times the trauma, when we think about people dealing with trauma, part of it is allowing ourselves, when we talk about, do we owe them our understanding? Our understanding is the ability to forgive, the ability to see why did this person kick me in the leg? Oh, they were having a seizure, an epileptic seizure. Why did this person move that way? Once we understand the why, then we understand symptomatic behavior and precipitating factors. And I think that's what's going to bring us up in terms of interpersonal relationships and dealings. But
Hmm.
that's just my opinion. So let's push it next level here. Personalize it. Does the world owe you understanding of your past trauma?
That's the world. No, I don't think so. I don't think the world owes me.
Say it again.
I don't think the world owes me.
Does the world owe you understanding? So who owes you understanding? You don't.
I don't think the world owes me understanding. The people who's in my circle, I feel like owes me a little level of understanding where I come from, how I move, how I love, how I show you that I care about you. Not the world. Because at the end of the day, some people in the world don't give a damn about you. But my circle who claim they care about me would.
When people go to trial for certain crimes,
Yeah.
after the victim impact statement, or normally before the victim impact statement, pardon me, they allow defendants in certain crimes to make their plea to the judge and to the jury. And normally during those times, that's where you hear about the defendants' abuse they faced as a child. Mama didn't feed him. He went through this. He went through that. And the court allows it. Why? It's to create a higher degree of information, a higher informational base for the people that are set to decide a punishment for this person. We as a society utilize previous trauma to determine how we punish. And we always say the law is not fair. The legal system is not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Yes, it's not.
The funniest thing is, in terms of that piece of the process alone, it almost shows that the system is more fair than normal, regular, average human beings. You ever think about that? We don't do that when somebody harmed us. Oh, sorry about that, Joanna. All right. We're gonna send you the Maison Choupino earmuffs. That's gonna be the next one, though. I got you. All right. So, what do you think about what I had said?
Yeah. I mean that's true. But at the same time is I don't think some of the court system is fair because when some of the girls who in human trafficking, they tell them about their trauma. This one lady just got pardoned by the governor Newsom, and she's been there over a decade, and she just got pardoned. And she had past trauma, and she told them she was human trafficked by her pimp, and they still gave her life. So and so I'm just saying, do the world do we owe the do we owe the world the understanding our trauma? No, I don't think so. Because even though the girls are telling them they've been traumatized by their pimps and stuff, they still get sentenced in a hefty sentence, unless you you got a good lawyer who keep fighting that case for you, or who got a understanding for you to say he feels like you was traumatized and that's what happened to you, and that's what led you to what happened.
Name somebody famous. Name somebody famous who went through childhood trauma. Name somebody famous that went through childhood trauma, where the trauma was not so much considered in their conviction or in their sentence and conviction.
Jesus, Chef.
I'm talking with my pastor.
What happened? What up, Vic? Go ahead. This is on you. Name somebody famous recently that
I'm fighting for my life, Chef.
Huh?
I said I'm fighting for my life.
Thank you. Did you catch that, Andrea? Hold on, let me do it the right way. Hold on. I don't got no water. I'm fighting for my life.
Oh, that's R. Kelly. Okay, yes.
I'm fighting for my life, man.
Yes. Yes, R. Kelly. That's true.
You got any daughters over there?
He had past traumas. He had past traumas, and they gave him 30 years.
Michael Jackson, wrong.
Mm.
Wrong. Michael Jackson, that that information was false. Michael R. Kelly, Prince. So let's talk the previous trauma piece. Does the world owe you understanding of your past trauma? So is that a yes or a no for you, Andrea?
I'll say no.
No. All right. Vic. Yes, no.
They don't owe me shit.
Understood.
They wouldn't give it to me if they did.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give my overarching theory about trauma and interpersonal relationships, right? When we pass away, and you talk about the images that you see that people talk about when you pass away, you see images of people in heaven. Whenever they show those images or that imagery, what color do you see them wearing?
White. Is it
White? Right. Okay.
white?
Okay. Okay. All right. White. Exactly. When we swaddle babies and when they're born, and they go get christened or baptized and all of those things, what do we put them in? What color?
White.
White. White represents uh, heavenly essence. It denotes some sort of purity, some sort of innocence. Why? Because it's devoid of color. Not making it better than black or anything like that. We're not doing that conversation. It's devoid of color.
Unadulterated.
So it's totally unadulterated, unsullied, not dirty.
Okay, well, I never
Right?
understood that. Now I see.
So remember, when we wear white, even the ladies wear white in the weddings, it represents a certain level of naivete, a certain level of innocence, a certain level of purity. That's why they say if you already started giving up the cookies, they say you ain't supposed to wear white at the wedding, right? But anyway, what I think about life, the traumas that we all start off with that white outfit. For us gentlemen, it may be a white suit. For the ladies, it may be a white gown. We start off pure. We start off clean. We start off unsullied. But when we hit the bumps and bruises of this life, of this planet, of the traumas, small, large, egregious, that impact us, they begin to stain our garb. They begin to stain our garb. And what happens is, when we start to move into relationships with folks, there's certain discerning folks that are able to recognize the stains on our garb, and they're able to say, oh, that's a grease stain. Oh, that's ketchup. Oh, that's mustard. Oh, that's such and such. Those are the people that would be able to recognize our specific subset of trauma. And because they're fully aware of it and understanding of it, those may be the people that would be the ones to help us remove that normally indelible stain from our garment. It may be that. Those people are the nurses. Those people are the healers. Those people are the ones when they tell you, why would you go mess with somebody that's toxic? Those people actually have a strong part in our community as well. We look at red pill folks that normally like to say, why would you deal with somebody with that high degree of toxicity? Motherfucker, you ain't. We all deserve love, right? You remember early on, we all deserve love.
Yeah.
That person that exudes that high degree of toxicity may need someone to assist them in venting it, and sometimes it may be someone that's gone through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, white garb, white garment, white suit, the bumps and bruises of life, the trauma we exhibit puts marks on it. There's certain people that we have to be really careful, or there's certain people that have to be careful, and those are the absorbers. Those are the
Yes.
ones where the stain on our white garb may rub off on them. And it's easy, especially when you have people within your love periphery or your love bubble. You ever been with somebody long enough where one day you don't even realize it, you end up using the slang that they were using? Or one day you hear them using your slang that you normally say? There's easy ways for us to release onto other people. And the craziest thing is, it's not just sexual.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in spiritual ways, it comes emotionally. It comes in just regular things that we do every single day. So, spiritually transmitted diseases, my theory is that every single last one of us have them. Every single one of us have them. And at some point, when we start making these freaking lists about, I want this person, this kind of person, that kind of person, that kind of person, as somewhere in that equation, we have to add somebody that's able to deal with our bullshit and the pieces. No matter how sexy our pieces are, the remaining pieces of what our trauma has left, life and trauma has left, I think it's critical. You got to know where you're going to land your plane. So let me just jump in here.
But not everybody wants to deal with.
Say it again.
But not everybody wants to deal with somebody with trauma. They think, I think I always got a little piece of trauma in life, but if, you got to get the right person who can love you through that trauma, or who can love you. Mm-hmm.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And you just took us to the final question. You just took us to this is curated, my friend. You took us to the final question. Should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma? You see a lot on YouTube when it be like, yo, this chick is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Run. Oh, he seems toxic at hell. Run. Pookie and Ray Ray. Run. This, that, and the other. Controlling. Run. Mommy or daddy issues. Run. It's interesting how, and what's funny is, which is the overarching point, Vic stated that we're more understanding as a society now in terms of allowing people to vent or share their trauma. A lot of the questions asked related to how things should be within from a utopian perspective, right? What we like to call the meta, not metaverse, but meta, which is the most effective, what is it? Most effective tactic available, right?
Okay.
And we still don't move in that fashion. We know what's right. We know what makes sense. We know what's fair from a macro level, from a global level, from a universal understanding level. But still within our natural humanity and mortality as humans, we still move differently. It's interesting to me. So let me ask you, should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma? If you find you a dude that's really hurt, you start to recognize how much hurt he's gone through, and it impacts how he deals with you or how he deals with life. Do you be like, oh hell nah, I'm gone, I got kids? Or do you be like, you know what, he just needs a strong woman and I could get him right. He just needs somebody to talk to. He's a great dude. He does everything else. It's just he has these hangups and he has this trauma that he's dealing with. Do you bounce? Are you fight or are you flight? Should we fight or should we fly when
It
we're
depends
dealing
on
with somebody with trauma?
it depends on, do I value him to be in my life? Do I want him? Do I want to be around him? Do I think he's a good person? Do I recommend that he go sit on somebody's couch to like have a level of understanding for him? If he's willing to do that kind of stuff, I would stay. But if he give me hell trying to love him through his trauma, no, I'm not.
Okay, okay. How about you, Vic?
Hey, y'all done talked about everything, man. What's the question for me?
Say it again.
I said, y'all done talked about quite a bit. What's the question for me?
It's the same question that I asked. The last question. It's on the screen. Can you see the screen?
Uh-huh.
Should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma?
Like I say, if like you say, if it's inside of your love bubble, you should make an effort. I think, I don't know if it was Andrea who was saying it earlier, but the compatibility factor is important to say. If my trauma matches yours, as far as the things that, because everybody has their own version of trauma. If my strengths complement your weaknesses and vice versa, then maybe we can help each other, because in the places I'm weak, you're strong and you can tolerate my weaknesses because those are your strengths and vice versa. But we can't both be weak in the same area. Like, if we both have conflict resolution, it's type of issues, we both can't be unhinged at the same time and think we're going to work through this. It's going to be more detrimental for both of us to try to work through it as opposed to, finding solutions outside of each other.
Okay. So okay, look. Should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma? I want to answer that question. Yes. And yes. Yes and yes. Absolutely. We exist too much in this ghosting and curving kind of society. So my answer is yes and yes. And I'll give it to you from a corporate hiring professional as well, right? There's people that I've interviewed where they did not get the job. And I let them know why they didn't get the job and gave them some feedback to understand why they didn't get the job. And those people took the feedback, the majority of them, and applied for the job again, utilizing the information that I provided within that feedback. So what I did was I avoided. Yes, I avoided, but I also attempted to heal. And for those that were able to glean the information and the feedback and the coaching that I provided, they were, once they got over the fact that they were rejected, they were able to find themselves in a better place. They were totally able to find themselves in a better place. All right. So let's say this. Yes and yes. You can help somebody that you're sending out. But if you're absconding from their love bubble or their love periphery, or you're getting away from that person, I think it's critical that you provide that little bit of closure so they understand why. If you escape and you never give the why, you never give them that medicine that costs you nothing. You never give them that medicine to cure that cancer that allows them to continuously harm the world. But you had it all along. So, should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma? Yes, we should avoid. But yes, we should also provide them with some feedback to cure themselves. All right. So, with that being said, what you think, Vic?
I think, at the end of the day, uh, help who you can help. Help who you can help. But if you see that it's becoming a detriment, I think Gabrielle said it in the comment, you know, if you're drowning and I can throw you a lifeline, I'll do it. But I ain't gonna drown with you. And you can't help people who don't want to be helped. So, some people have a tendency to uh, splash a lot, in 2 feet of water. They like to splash. And people get tired of that shit. So it's like the little boy who cried wolf. A lot of times you make a lot of noise, and then now when it's time to be taken serious and you got something real going on, they're like, oh, he ain't gonna do shit. He just playing. Stand your ass up. That ain't but 2 feet of water. You know what I mean? And they don't get their voices and taken seriously at that time. And sometimes those are the times when it's the most serious. So I think people who have suffered trauma should be very careful about how they go about reaching out, and not to reach out until they have convinced themselves that they are ready to make that change, or at least go through what it takes to at least make advances in, because it's not like, okay, people are getting these instant fixes and all you got to do is go, get a tune up and you're good to go again. It took a lot to put those scars there on your spirit. I don't give a damn how many times you bleach that white shirt. You know what I mean? If the stain is deep enough, it's in there. Scotch, it wouldn't matter what you put in that wash. It's still gonna be a little stain, and it is what it is. So, if you want someone to give you understanding, you should pray more, because the Lord is unbiased in that way. He can blot your sins out. He can show you forgiveness where the next man won't. But I would lower my expectations of people's understanding. People will be willing to listen to you more these days, absolutely. And that's when you're referring to venting. Yeah, people will hear you out, and they might even find common ground with you. But that doesn't mean that they understand, or that they're going to make exceptions for you, excuses for you, or anything of this sort. And if anything, that information could be used against you. So just make sure, if you're venting and you're pushing that out, that you're putting it in a safe place. That you're putting it in a safe place. So whether you're the victim of the trauma or you're someone trying to help someone with their trauma, make sure that you don't flip around and use that information that someone is giving you against them when you get upset. So that's all I got on that.
Thanks, Andrea. Thank you. Vic, you ain't looking at the screen, son. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
I'm
running my
like,
mouth.
I'm like, hold on, am I tripping? Is my shit on?
That's it. So Gabrielle said, if you're drowning, I can help you out with the water if you allow me, but I won't drown with you. And it's funny. You know that a good majority of the drownings that take place, a good amount of the drownings that take place, when it's more than one person that drowns, it normally involves somebody trying to save the other person, and then they both drown because the initial person drowning didn't know how to swim. So while the other person is trying to save them, they may not be trained in lifeguard tactics, right? And marine rescue tactics. So they don't know how to rescue a person that can't swim. There's certain technique you use. So they don't take you under the water as well. So a lot of times, many of the people that drown, a high percentage, were the ones that were trying to save someone else. So I totally understand. Say it again.
You cannot save everybody.
You
I'm not.
can't. You can't. You can't
Honestly,
save everybody
nope,
without question.
you can't.
You know. So at this point, what can I say? Should we avoid or attempt to heal victims of trauma? Like I said, my answer is yes and yes. But it definitely depends on the situation. It definitely depends on everybody that you have counting on you, because of course, especially those folks within your love bubble or your love periphery, because guess what, when you leave the farm, the trauma that you pick up, the spiritually transmitted demons, the issues, the drama, the trauma, you bring that back to the people that you love within that love periphery. So I think it's important for us to understand other people's trauma. I think it's important for us to have a high degree of compassion in terms of the way that we review it, because guess what? We all got some bullshit with us. And it's about us understanding the impacts on the others. And those of us that may have gone through or have the same bullshit with them, having a high degree of understanding on what causes it and how to move forward. Does the world owe you anything? No. However, I do believe that we should feel a certain amount of obligation, especially if we've dealt with trauma. We should feel a certain high degree of obligation to understanding those that have gone through the same thing, because that's the only way to treat or cure these spiritually transmitted diseases. Those spiritually transmitted diseases are trauma from the pastor, trauma from the ex-girlfriend, trauma from the parents, trauma from the system, trauma from living a life that you didn't want to live, trauma from having a life that was not the one you would have chosen yourself, but you were in. There's a lot of trauma. So all I can say is this. Let's start to be a bit more understanding, folks. We all got some bullshit with us. And we can all be strong and say, well, I'm only going to give the understanding to those within my love bubble. But in order for this whole thing to change, we may have to open that love bubble a little more, or be more strategic in terms of what we see, and try to water some flowers in another garden. We keep being on to ourselves, what's going to happen is we're going to create gates, fences around us, but we're not truly going to becoming a community. So That's my opinion. My opinion. But what you got, Vic? For you let them know your final thoughts on this topic, and let them know what makes you a unique soul within this universe.
Yeah, I lost my headset, so I hope you can hear me all right.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, the conversation didn't quite go exactly where I thought it was going. I was gonna bring it up earlier, but
See, don't be thinking where it's going. That's the problem. You trying to figure out where it's going. You just ride, yo. You busy trying to check the coordinates instead of just riding the ride, yo. We safe here.
hey,
Okay.
Damn, yo, I got to give him I gotta give him the itinerary and shit. Just jump in
Oh,
the
he
whoops
want
and
more.
let's
No, he
ride,
want more
yo.
information. He needs more information. That's
Right,
what he needs.
hey, yo, chef,
Ride.
hey, yo, chef, let me out, dog.
right.
Hey, listen, man. So, you know, there was a there was a slave at once, right? They did a documentary on him, and he, you know, was very effective and efficient at his duties. And so his master grew fond of him. And at some point he set him free. And upon his freedom, he gave him a small piece of the land that he used to work. And he worked it and was very successful, and he was a great farmer, and he made, a very uh good bit of money for, the time. And eventually what he did with his, the small fortune that he was able to amount, he bought his own slaves and became a slave master himself. And some of the tactics that he used, some of the other slave masters had to be like, yo, like, hey, yo, chill, yo, hey, yo, listen, you taking this slave master shit too far. And I don't think those are more widely known stories. And it's just a movie, Color Purple, but it was a very good point made. What you do to me already been done to you, you know? Till you do right by me, nothing you do gonna prosper. So there was two things that was addressed, which was, yeah, I understand that this vitriol or this energy or whatever it is that you having a hard time expressing in a healthy way is based on what's already happened to you. So I don't hold you in full accountability for it. But until you gain control of it, with or without my help, everything that you do is going to fail. And I think we owe it to ourselves to seek that counseling from whoever is qualified and trustworthy enough, within our own, judgment to handle the things that we aren't equipped to handle. And before we try to build on top of a shaky foundation, we owe it to ourselves to shore it up, or we're perpetuating and forwarding and replicating that trauma to move forward to the next generation. So with that said, my name is Victor Freeze, aka Victor Freeze Music, all one word. Check the chat if you want to see the link. I appreciate you, Chef Choupino, putting on another good show. My sister Andrea Lynch, hope you're feeling well, sis. Uh,
Let me get there.
put myself back together. I appreciate everybody sending me birthday love. You know what I mean? We don't get a unlimited amount of those, so I appreciate everyone I get. Uh, that said, I appreciate everybody for coming out. Love y'all. Good night.
Good night. Mm.
Oh, peace. Pardon me, I was on mute. Peace, Vic. Before we continue, I want to thank Gabrielle, for that super sticker. $5 super sticker, my guy. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing love. You was here from early in the game and you still here in pocket. Thank you. Miss Polly said, not everything is meant for forever, but you can still enjoy their moments. I like that. I like
Yes.
that. Very important. Wounded people, injured people, traumatized people, they are somewhat different. They're different by virtue of the pain they dealt with. The nature versus nurture aspect. They were impacted by the nurture. Some of our greatest artists, some of our greatest clinicians, some of our people that have done some of the greatest things have had to utilize and stack their talents in spite of all of the trauma they dealt with. What do we do when we work out and when we lift weights? We actually traumatize our muscles. We traumatize our joints and muscles. Why? Because the trauma of ripping and shredding our muscles in recovery, it allows them to get larger. And then we do it again and we rinse and repeat. Remember, what doesn't kill you does what?
Make you stronger. That's what they say.
Mm-hmm. So
I
is trauma really a bad thing?
think it's an old cliche.
Is trauma really a bad thing, or is trauma some of the muscle that our creator is wanting us to build for a greater purpose?
Yes, I think trauma builds character. Trauma builds people. Trauma builds adversity. I
Mm.
always say I love somebody. I love a comeback kid. I love a comeback story. I find them unique.
Boom. You just said it. That was the key. We all love the underdog story, the comeback kid, the person that wasn't expected to make it.
The prodigal son returns home.
Why? Because we understand the amount of trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right? Before I let the world know what makes her a unique soul, just think about this, what she just said about the trauma. It can make you a better person. You guys ever heard of the Derek Fisher story?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, Google it. It's a movie produced by Denzel Washington, starring Derek Luke. That was Derek Luke's first project. The
Yes.
Derek Fisher story. Take a look, and you will understand how recognizing trauma, overcoming it, can actually put you in a better place. And if you watch that movie, I'll be honest with you, you will almost see the full proliferation of this whole conversation that we had tonight. So let's call it homework. If you haven't seen the Derek Fisher story, take a look at it. Even down to the idea of dealing with someone that's going through trauma, take a look at it. It's a great movie. Oh, I keep saying Derek Fisher. Pardon me. Derek Luke was the actor. It's the
Yes.
Antoine Fisher story.
Antoine Fisher story.
It's Antoine Fisher. I'm calling it Derek
Yes.
because it's Derek Luke that was in it, but it was Antoine Fisher.
The
All
Antoine
right.
Fisher story.
Yeah. Little Ninja. You don't know what that is until you see the movie. But anyway, if you guys have an opportunity, go take a look at that movie, man. It literally encapsulates everything we've been discussing tonight. For me, I got kids to protect. I got people I love. But we live in a society, we live in a world. If we see somebody's hurting, if we understand, you got to try to do something, not to your detriment, but we got to start reaching out to folks, man. We really, really do. The fear of spiritually transmitted diseases also changes our place, our community ecosystem world into a less friendly place. Nobody's going to be out there doing the healing because nobody wants to touch the lepers. Nobody wants to get dirty. Nobody wants to get that infection or that virus or that disease, as we call it. When in fact, guess what? We all fucking got it.
Yeah.
We all got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got. Let these folks know what makes you a unique soul, Andrea. Please.
What makes Andrea a unique soul? I'm trying to be better. I'm a work in progress. And so that makes me a unique soul is trying to understand where people come from instead of judging them. I try to ask the questions now. When I used to didn't ask the question, I was like, oh, that is crazy. They just acting up because they can. I'm at the point in my life I want to know why this person is acting out, why this person is the way it is, because it's a story behind that. So what makes me a unique person? I'm just trying to get my opinion. Hopefully one day somebody might hear it. Hopefully one day my grandkids will hear it and think their grandmama is special.
Hey,
That's it. It's a legacy.
appreciate you. Say that again?
The legacy for me.
It's the legacy for you. Well, I appreciate you. You already know you're a part of this thing here.
Yes.
So thank you for joining. Let me bring you down and shut it down for these folks over here. Let me hit them with the little brand thing real quick. Forgot to put that baby back up. Look, y'all. Trauma's trauma. Spiritually transmitted diseases exist. That's life. That's the way life works. It's not something that we're ever going to be able to remove from our life. Why? Because the same pocket we carry us spiritually transmitted diseases, that's the same pocket, a shirt pocket, a breast pocket, that we carry the things that make us special. Things that make us wonderful is carried in the same pocket as our hang-ups, as our trauma, as our weird ass idiosyncrasies. It's in the same place. It's just about being around somebody who's willing to look around in the pocket and see what the issue is. We all messed up. We're all messed up. Spiritually transmitted diseases may be something as simple as an affliction that somebody could help you get rid of. You just got to have that right somebody that's willing to do it. So what was my overarching theory of feeling in this piece? We say we want a world that lives as one. We talk kumbaya. We talk all of these things. But a lot of times the terminology, the things that we put out there, certain nuanced conversation is actually the things that are pushing us further and further apart. So spiritually transmitted diseases, guess what? I actually reject that assertion. I don't believe in that shit. Because we all diseased. We're all fucked up. It's just us being able to understand that it will take somebody special for us to be able to share it and for us to be able to cure it. Let's stop using terms to push ourselves apart and pigeonhole other people into a different box. Let's try to figure out ways that we can find that certain point in the sand of commonality and understanding so that we can bring people to a better place that they need. Call me on some hippie shit. It's okay. I'll take it. But we got to stop pushing each other away. And with all of that being said, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for popping through and sharing these moments with us in this session of intellectual debauchery. Thank you for allowing me to go down this rabbit hole with you. But in the meantime and between time, We don't send you to the streets by yourself. We send your ass out vibing. Peace.
Hop on, jump, it's the weekend. Dream come true with the big friends. Hitting down doors, that's a defense. Rolling with all, that's that offense. Hit me, chain, Drew, let me peachin'. With a bull shaking to my maybe drop bands. So they don't buy, and I say, so they don't buy, you the kid play, baby, tell me what you want. Julian, I know you need fun. Ever since remember that we been knocking at the door. Y'all been moving paper, we be running up the school. Y'all before that pill that we was sleeping on the floor. West side Africa, you know the shit ain't far. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Pop it, baby. Come roll with me. All night long. As times relax, my mind's relaxed. I got now from who got next. Here's my number, just send a text. You got a man and she responds, nah. Okay, showing up. I'ma let you go, don't wanna hold you up. I'ma call your phone when I'm putting up. Whoever let you go must be them as far. Way far. Girl, you so fine, I pay for. Fly you first class to the lake bar. Body so blessed, I pray for. Body so blessed, I pray for. Cause I don't care what you say. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long.
My nigga, I killed it. Night long. It's the part where you get your girl, nigga. Make sure she focused, nigga. Make sure you focus, nigga. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, hit it.
I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long. I don't care what they say. We don't care. Driving all night long. I don't care what they say.
That's a hit for your ass, nigga. Hit.
All night long. If you know somebody with trauma, measure it out. Figure it out. Don't run until you think it's necessary. But if you can, help a brother or sister out.